Afenyo is in another big trouble. Na audio na slepo me ba ma chi me tie na Okofo bi ni Afenyo nkasa. Ba bi a wokọ no. One ha by the time MPP beba power no. Na a lot of issues are be affecting no. This is my honest view about the economy na yɛdan is about Kpandai. Na me board you no matter your political affiliation. No, normally I don't care about those things, but and then they believe that one of the topics are we both have a unanimous agreement to some of the argument for come about all do. Muntaka kasa Saturday no news me who Muntaka so peace our time was ada. You were Inusah Fuseini so they kakra kan so no the general legal council and drag Afenyo emna nanim. And some near saying and near born come on the critical analyst channel. But before I go, me friend question happy new month. Madam Munina Masse. Best also best subscriber, most subscriber no click bell notification. The video we to be who know it must be. You certainly have a comment. You know you comment in the comment section. So I know I call app and the Play Store app we all if find a pan rate. We so send this cafe no be any joke. The best platform I been send this cafe no a pan rate. All the major rating platforms no a war and no rating be man no choosing a boa na what the edi ujuma. Yenye nim se Kpandai NDC candidate no enya issues or the Kpandai Tamale High Court na samna kwaba last week no rule say yenye a rerun of the entire constituency yewura yenda MPP ni ne boanyo so no ka say asam no kra na NDC ni say 41 polling stations na issues ho ye 152 inti say sakra dia 41 na nkesi ya run aka se yentwa ne nyina mu dia entaso to ono no okokot no na wonimnie ntie no onimnie besi ko no watete wo form wo se verdict ni say na be control man lawyer application at the count ma catch us a high court cases be say about parliamentary case had the appellate court, the last appellate court or appeals court. Now, not clearly. I mean, as you expect the minority to solidarize with him. Na Afenyo kasano tini speech ni your kasano and no this particular phrase here.
This judge who knows that when matters close and he's fixed a date for judgment, no matter what he's supposed to deliver a judgment, decided to stay away from determining the matter because a party has decided belatedly to file a notice of withdrawal of the case. Yet, in a development that defies ordinary legal reasoning, the High Court issued an order directing a full rerun of the entire Kpandai parliamentary election, covering all 152 polling stations to be completed within 30 days. As if this judge is not aware of the Supreme Court decision in the Akufo-Addo and others versus John Dramani Mahama and others in the 2012 presidential petition. The sad part of it is that the NDC candidates and his supporters were aware of the judgment before the day, to the extent that on the day of the said judgment, the regional minister led a team of NDC party faithfuls into the courtroom, anticipating the expected result. The result that they were going to have judgment in their favor. The judge, who spent minutes, walked out of the courtroom claiming that his judgment will be ready on Friday. Meanwhile, in less than 24 hours, a court order was being served on Parliament and Honorable Nyindam. What kind of kangaroo judicial system we having now in Ghana? The judiciary must know that their actions and inactions to serve the interests of whoever their paymaster is has the tendency of destroying our peaceful republic. We will not mince words. They can conspire to call us one by one for a so-called contempt of court. We are criticizing their shameful conduct. We are not afraid. We are ready to be in Nsawam for their so-called contempt. The world will see their disgraceful conduct. We will not sit aloof and allow them to undermine the very rule of law that they are supposed to protect. How can a judge who calls himself a judge sit in court and misconduct himself in such a manner and expect the country to be quiet?
Yes. Paymasters. Kangaroo judiciary. Kangaroo crowd the matata lawyers na taka normal, but paymasters. And none amount funya issues with it. But my audios. You know, and a Saturday, because of security issues, Wesley girls issues in your dinner, and Muntaka news. Then the Muntaka blast say no kind one Afenyo.
Typically, if any ordinary lawyer makes these statements, they will be on the way to actually go to jail for contempt. But he is minority leader, so he has a certain leverage, and he's doing a certain public commentary, which perhaps the democracy will permit.
I'm worried because, go back, we're in November. Remember last year this time, what he was saying about the court. And since then, I don't know whether this high court judge who was appointed this year. I mean, you see, my worry is that, and all of us sometimes get guilty of it when the emotions come, but you have to be careful the way you do the criticism. Because this one, like I said, that's why I was calling it insinuations. It goes beyond just criticizing the decision. One, you are painting the whole judiciary with a same brush. This is a lawyer, this is a minority leader.
You guys are guilty of the same.
You are saying that paymasters. You are saying that they knew the possible outcome. Listen, you are a lawyer, and you and I have been in court a number of times, right? And there have been instances when we are going, we expect, and you tell me, I mean, you sometimes tell me, Muntaka, this one is 50-50. It could go this way, it could go that way. You tell me it's 50-50, it goes this way. And sometimes I tell them, okay, if it goes this way, what should we do? If it's that way, what should we do?
That's right.
And I prepare for any of the 50-50, isn't it?
That's right.
So how do you then say that based on that 50-50 that you, my lawyer, told me, and I prepare in a certain response, it means that the judge is paid? I mean, when you do this, we then, by our action and inaction and comments, weaken the very judiciary that we expect to be strong. Because now, let's assume, if we go to the appeals court and they tender the issue of the high court judge, should the majority that come out and say that the appeal court judges are also corrupt and they've been paid by you and other? I mean, so I'm worried about the posture of the minority of that. And I think that, yes, it's not immune completely, but I want to believe the judiciary may be hesitant because of the position that it's occupying and the possible rancor and political division that it may create. But I must say that it's very disappointing to hear the minority leader say this, and I expect them to be more responsible as a minority leader in this comment. I mean, we were in the leadership, and something you will bear me, there have been instances emotions go so high. Oh, but still. But we need to be measured. And I maybe I should assist him by telling that he must learn and get his facts right. You remember when, after the former majority leader, Honorable Chairman, after we elected Speaker, said that, oh, we were bribing, we were trying to influence some of their members. Then, out of emotion, I said that, you who were trying to influence the other. In the case, you even were trying to get some swing judges to influence some members. You remember the heat I had to go through? I had to apologize. Because, I had to apologize. I didn't mention any specific name. I just said that, oh, we know that you have even used a Supreme Court judge to do this. And something you knew, as I know, that look, we had the phone number because it was unknown. We had the conversation 8 minutes, but the court will not give us the order for MTN to give us the audio. So I said that, look, you, my colleague, who told me this information, you told me you have recorded it, not knowing that it was swept, it was clean on her phone. So we didn't have it. And everybody said that, oh, look, but this one, Sam George is the communication minister. So he was the one who did all the tracking, all the numbers and everything with Lawyer Tatuchi and others. They were all insisting that, no, Muntaka, you have to stand your ground. I said, no. Ethics should be very, very important. Once we cannot get the actual evidence, it will be unfair for the other Supreme Court judges. Because if I had mentioned a specific judge, it would be between myself and that judge. Now I've said the whole Supreme Court judges. And now the very evidence we're relying on is destroyed. And we can't have it from the court because the court will not grant us to go to MTN to get it. I think that the most decent thing to do is to apologize. And I did apologize. And I have no regret apologizing because if it was down to me, I expect an apology. I want the minority leader to know that being in leadership position comes with a lot of responsibility. And managing that with your emotion and what you say and what you don't say is very, very important. Especially as he's the lead person. I was a whip.
You, the majority, have already pushed him to the wall, especially with this ECOWAS Parliament matter. Yes. And now they actually held a press conference just yesterday, Patricia P.J., the deputy, asking the speaker to apologize and so on, and then the petition citing him to the Privileges Committee to be withdrawn unconditionally, among others. But I mean, why do you cite your minority leader to appear for discipline
you remember before, Privileges Committee? When we were taking that decision in the chamber, try and get the video, I spoke and I gave the history. I'm with all humility, Samson, and with a greater respect to our listeners, I'm nobody. As my brother here knows, by the grace of God, I've been the longest serving whip this country has ever seen. I've served as majority whip and minority whip. And he knows. There's something we call in the parliament, we call the chamber dynamics. I'm gifted with it. He knows. I'm very good. My God has given me that gift. I'm able. That day I predicted this. And I sent a caution to him that don't go to ECOWAS Parliament and embarrass us. Because when you do, it will trigger parliamentary privileges. I don't know, he didn't listen. Because what we do in the House and took a decision, you go and contrary against that decision. So much as individual, in an external parliament, like ECOWAS Parliament,
her consent was never sought. She just heard the announcement for her to take over his place. She can't do that.
It is something that is in the House, and he knows. I came to meet it. Honorable Chairman Sabunso, they were there from the beginning because he was there from 1996. When they created the parliament, they did start that it's a mixture of leadership and middle and back benches. So, for example, in ECOWAS, it has always been the chief whip on both sides. Then you have other members going. Then in Pan-African Parliament, you have the deputy speaker, the deputy leaders, and other members going. By the time it got to my turn as whip, I was already a backbencher member of the Pan-African Parliament. Then I persuaded the House that, can you kindly allow me, I've built some experience here, instead of switching to ECOWAS Parliament, to remain in Pan-African Parliament. And the House graciously agreed. That's how come the regime then changed. Then the whips now are in Pan-African Parliament and deputy leaders. So it is for the position. So if, for example, we send a deputy majority whip, and then you lose that position, you are supposed to be out. In my case, remember when we were removing leadership? In fact, they were attempting to replace me. Then, but I was chairing the Finance Committee of Pan-African Parliament. Then the Deputy Speaker, Honorable Osewusu, together with the senior member, Honorable Collins, went to the Speaker to say, look, Honorable Muntaka, yes, by virtue of being removed from the leadership, automatically loses his position. But we are pleading that because he chairs the Finance Committee of Pan-African Parliament, taking him out will mean Ghana will lose that position. But we allow only 5 months.
Why couldn't the same thing be done for Afenyo?
No, but the reality is that the reality is that there are other privileges. That they even remember on the floor. I even said, look, I will list all the privileges that the leaders have. Why they don't go to the Pan-African Parliament and ECOWAS, and they are kept to IPU and CPA. IPU is International Parliamentary Union, and then CPA is Commonwealth Parliamentary Association. The privileges the leaders have in the House, believe me, it is something that you, if you are a backbencher and you hear it, you are not careful. Every day you be fighting with your leader.
But in any case, the deputy says, I don't want leader to keep it.
You see, the optics of it And I'm sorry to say that you can't expose private conversations. Look, it is not for her to say that I don't want. Because it's a position that is meant for her. Yes, I know there have been instances where people say that, like Bedra. No, sorry, Abeji. Abeji was supposed to go. Then he says that, look, I'm leaving it for Bedra, Honorable Bedra to go. I will keep the chairing of the public accounts and allow Honorable Bedra for my caucus to go replace me. But even that, the House has to take a decision. And the House took a decision, say, okay, we agree with you. In his case, the House disagreed with him. Because that decision is not for individual. I can say that, I want Honorable Susan to replace me. But the House must take that decision. In his case, the House disagreed with him and said that, no, we are not going to allow a leader to go. Because if a leader goes, it is going to distort the House.
Okay.
And
we just had a discussion.
Yes. No, we na the colleague Honorable Inusah Fuseini and so Joy. Ono so a lawyer. No, as a matter. Munya ni mo keke kan say judge no munyi case nya dwunja say mo kan na mo ka bia afenyo kra de obenya ye say dragging it to General Legal Council. No ko chichiri.
Say that again.
I said he should be on his way to the General Legal Council. Not because he's a minority leader, but because he's a lawyer. And he scandalized himself in his profession.
What if he has facts? What he has facts about the judge being paid?
So he goes there to show the facts. The facts will be his defense. He goes there to produce the facts as defense. But he can't scandalize the courts in the way he has done. As a lawyer, he can't do that. And he's a lawyer. So that's what you should understand. And secondly, I'm scandalized by the arguments of Ajapa Mensah. He's a lawyer. And that is the court of first instance, for God's sake. The decision is the court of first instance. And in the election petition, the decision ends at the Court of Appeal. And Martin Yindang has told everybody in Ghana that he's appealed against the decision. He's appealed the decision to the Court of Appeal. So why can't you wait and argue your case in the Court of Appeal? And he seems to have lost what happened in our recent history. How can you sit on TV and say that you can go to court and ask? And the court will give you what you have not asked for, and that will never happen. It happened. Afenyo-Markin went to court for an interim injunction to restrain the speaker from declaring the seat vacant. He was given a perpetual injunction. How can you sit on TV and say that you can go to court and ask? And the court will give you what you have not asked for, and that will never happen. It happened. Afenyo-Markin went to court for an interim injunction to restrain the speaker from declaring the seat vacant. He was given a perpetual injunction. He was given a perpetual injunction. What are you saying, Ajapa Mensah?
What did you say? Did you say that was allowed? That was okay?
Was it not?
What I'm saying that he didn't ask for it again. Even Afenyo-Markin did not ask for a perpetual injunction.
Exactly. So you faulted the court for that, did you not?
I'm saying that he went to court to ask for an interim injunction. That's the argument. And he was given what he did not ask for.
And my question is, what did the NDC say? That judgment was procured by...
The proposition that you can go to court, and be given what you have not asked for, it cannot happen.
But is it not curious? That you have a petitioner who goes to court?
But I wrote it down.
Over 41 polling stations. As I understand, the 41 polling stations will give you a total of about 500 votes or so. I don't know if I get my figures correct about that. You would know. And the difference in the win between him and Yindam will be about 1,600. So if you faulted the 500, votes, it doesn't do anything. How do you go to nullify the whole results? That's the question.
So again, Samson, we must await the decision of the court, the written judgment of the court. But I worked in Kpandai. I worked in Kpandai before the elections and on the election day. And the collection center, which has been gazetted, was moved without notice to the petitioner, the party who petitioned in court. So you have to understand, you have to read the whole judgment to understand the thinking. But be it as it may, what I'm saying is that as lawyers, we know that the High Court's decision is a decision of a court of first instance. And an election petition doesn't end at the High Court. It ends at the Court of Appeal. And there are many cases, and in the Dr. Yakubu's case that they cited, I was involved in that case. The court used a mathematical formula to arrive at a decision that Dr. Yakubu was not validly elected as MP. The Court of Appeal reversed the decision and condemned the decision of the High Court. So you cannot run ahead of the total, determination of the matter.
Yes. You know, the guy can't say your body a regulating lawyers or any behavior, new suban and maybe. Personally, that phrase of paymasters, is strange. She instance back all can say original chairman ne ko ne dey na abronye ye mu bi kasa sense mfo na police ne court di nyansa bi enimu no. The lawyers confirmed what we said, That day ruling, no. Oh, video na yewra ayikoye Afenyo-Markin Kobe. Godfred Dami Kobe. Almost MPP big bi no court. Because any Muntaka, it was anticipated, say, as some Hana Bekobe, how public na agency public talkability, how ana obia or reasonable thinking person can say, ya bronya no, say, IGP no issue, unko see you no. You can't use the police for these things. And in fact, the judge bailed us out. So it was anticipated, say, Bekobe be a air call. So when people go to court on certain day, it doesn't necessarily mean that because of a certain scenario of the judgment. 2012 petition delivered on the 29th of August 2030. President Kufuor call court to be. It is normal. A final day of the judgment. So when there will be a call, I don't see the merit. But you see, sometimes we didn't call for any man. Because we're leader and have to say certain things, if you are not careful, you throw your integrity under the bus. So it's honorable Afenyo-Markin saying that if the case goes to the appeals court, now you really an overturn any high court now. Doesn't mean that the appeals court panel never transfer on MP before common musicana. And I get worried always because when it comes to judiciary, I hasten slowly. You may have your extremist view, that's your view. Who need platform or platform? 1.3 million people watch me at least every month. I cannot come here and use my platform to say certain things that I cannot prove. So let's all hasten slowly. I was very some way when he used the paymasters. Because as some anyway, our appeals court. I had no issue if you want to solidarize with your colleague. I also be want to say something, especially when it's a minority in parliament. But the extent and sometimes the posture in parliament, a bit worrying. Sometimes a bit worrying. For example, Osho Koke Oko Kwamse Fakanya, Ubusana about Bafubon. You can clearly see discomfort. Watch the video. I don't need to put it in here again. It's on my channel. About when I said he's clashed with Tadio. Sorry, the video is on my channel. You can clearly see discomfort. Sometimes you may have your disagreement about something, but how you go about it. Chelumba semi, me entertainment. Tina mean to me nyama. Won't gossip 24. Me sinyama Clement. Ghana obia so say wa odobroni ayi akosua say e call court no court say odobroni ka ho me need evidence o. I may disagree, I may not believe it, but I'm not also privy to the entire document and what happened in court. Sanity. So let's always think slowly. Hey, unanimous FC and E2 before. Yes, and in fact, people had fears. In fact, Kandapa, the then was the security couple for the MPP, the chief security couple, said that there were court rulings here somewhere. Man, this is why there's been unanimous FCs. In cases, read the get talk on cases. There's been some unanimous FCs. Must we trumpet it like how it was trumpeted in the past? No. You may disagree. We were back at Adam the MPP. Bawumia, Adam the NDC, but Bawumia opposition 8 years. And MPP praised it for 8 years. Just like the EC. That's why I always say that when you are critically analyzing state agencies, the judiciary is not a perfect body, but we cannot start attributing pace and masters to judges. The framing we are giving to the Ghanaian mind is that justice can be bought. People may say it, I don't have the evidence to it. I may disagree. That is why they are appellate processes. That's why when you are unhappy about something, you appeal it. It means what the General Legal Counsel says. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not privy to their processes and everything. I don't want to waste my time on going to those things. Contempt number dragging into that. That's their business. But I think someone needs to sit him down and talk to him. Sometimes, sometimes if you are not careful, you may have a certain genuine interest in something. But sometimes when you're careful, how you go by it makes you come across as a woman. And I think that he is too much of a gentleman to have that tag around him. You certainly may disagree with me. You may agree with me. Feel free and share your comments in the comment. When you're new to the channel, I mean, you're do it, share your comments freely in the comments. So if you are not subscribed, click the bell notification. The video we are to my bill not my ship. Say that the be can me young Ghana so young. I know show you the mama. And again, it's a new month. Show you Christmas eba. You will be able to have a blast.